keep the same energy. Gayton must keep the same energy. If you had views and comments last week on open chats, you must keep the same energy. I must keep the same energy. Gaytons Tweets with the K word all over is crazy. And let's keep the same energy.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the On the podcast.
Am I allowed to swear in here?
In Sweden.
Yeah, I know we said let's not play the government.
It's just sad when we start them becoming indoctrinated. Your view on me.
Hi guys, I'm Emilio Tobias and welcome back to another episode of the On the Contrary podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for liking, commenting, and all those things. It's been a crazy week. It's been a crazy week and we were seeing a thing that I guess we've never seen before. No. It's actually the second time. The first time was the lady on Fly Safe who said some racist things towards colored people, and now open chats did the thing. So okay, cool, it's happening more and it's fine, and a lot of people called out open chats. A lot of people called out the lady on SBC lady from Fly Safe, but that one didn't open the conversation like this one. The conversation is wide open now, where we, as much as many of us have the goal to unite colored and black people, we do know there are problems on either side, and the other side sees that that side is more problematic than that side. But the conversation is being had now. The conversation is being had now. What do they say? Don't throw stones if you are living in a glass house. And it's tricky. Gayton McKenzie's tweets, I don't know, I haven't tried the search thing where you go on Twitter and search someone's tweets, but I'm sure it's simple. You can search for certain words and all of them will come out. So someone went and searched the K word in Gayton McKenzie's tweets and it came up a few times. Now, at first glance, when I read those tweets, scurrying over them, I did not see much wrong with it. Not that I didn't see anything wrong with it. I didn't see much wrong with it, and I'll explain and get into detail why. There is, however, one tweet amongst all those tweets that was, always will be wrong, no matter which era it was said in. But let's have a conversation about the N-word, the K-word, the N-word, and the evolution that has been going on now. Now, I've been picking my brain the past few minutes in which order do I want to have this conversation in, so that you get to see the different aspects of and the layers of this thing. Not only about Gayton, which now must be held accountable. He must be held accountable for his tweets, and one of them is definitely inexcusable. The other ones, we'll go through them, but I did chapters. I'm gonna do chapters so that you can skip forward to when I call out Gayton properly. But I want to preface it with a few things. So I didn't know which way to order these things so that you can keep listening, but we've cut it up so that you can decide which angles or which parts of the conversation you want to listen to. Issue number one, Gayton this week, and I spoke up against it, came in too hard for, yes, a vile, crazy, racist mistake that were made by these kids. He really came in too hard on these kids. I think he could have sent the necessary message that he wanted to, with a bit, maybe it's not aggression that he was showing, but he was going too hard at these kids for the level of what they were doing. They didn't kill anyone. They didn't wish bad on anyone. They said something that hurt people. And yes, they should have known that that was hurtful. Hence, accountability and certain punitive measures. But canceling all those things, I've been against it since day one. I've been against canceling of open chats since that thing came out. Let them learn what they need to learn and move forward. However, Gayton did not leave a gap. Gayton promised grace in the future, but as hard as it came is as hard as what people are going to want to come at now. And that's what last week, not last week, this was 2 days ago. This was 2 days ago. So unfortunately, Gayton is going to have to sit on the coals and do everything. Because now, Action SA has now come out and they're going to go to the South African Human Rights Commission to report Gayton for his tweets. Same energy. But it's wild. I don't know if they probably did come out and got them open chat, but it's now wild the level and the energy that's going into taking Gayton McKenzie down. Now, that was issue number one. Gayton McKenzie went too hard, and whatever energy is coming back to him, whether rightfully so or whatever, he should have anticipated and expected. And I don't doubt that maybe his self-worth is at a level where he can take all of this energy, but he needs to account for those tweets as much as it was 13 years ago, however long ago. He must come and speak on it, and not in blanket statements. Go through all of them and then take responsibility. Taking responsibility and accounting is not the same thing. By the way, we're having a lot of debates with people who don't understand the difference between taking responsibility, getting punished, and being accountable. You are accountable for something even if nothing went wrong. You're accountable for something because it's been assigned to you. And the thing that's been assigned to you at birth is your own actions. Or it's not assigned to you at birth, it's assigned to you at 18, apparently. Being responsible for your own actions. There's a gray area between 12 and 18, I guess. Anyway, that's Gayton. Now, another thing that has come up, which should not even be denied, is, since the open chat conversation, is that colored people are also, generally speaking, being the ones to utter way more racist things. And black people have heard way more colored people say racist things than they've heard white people say racist things. And it's a function and an intention or a design of apartheid. It's hard to say, but that's where all these things come from. I had a conversation early on in the first or second iteration of this podcast with someone, and we spoke about the tensions between black and colored people. And some of that, and we've spoken about it, some of that is attributed to the fact that black and colored neighborhoods, which are poorly looked after neighborhoods since whatever year, are the ones that are next to each other. The white people we barely interact with, and when we interact with them, it's on a professional basis. Either you work for them or you work under them. That's the most likely situation. You are dealing with white people. And also, you would not be in any position to be free. But now, where we live, colored and black townships are a street apart. And the one side is poorer than the other. Sometimes this one gets street lights before that one. So we've been taught, and we've been, both sides, when I say we, I'm talking about black and colored people. We've been taught and made to understand that that other side is the reason why you aren't getting anything. So if colored people get in the colored area, the street lights pop up first before it pops up in the black areas, it's gonna feel like, yo, those guys are being looked after better, and we're not being looked after because we are black. And if the black area gets the pavements done first, or gets street lights first, or gets their power outages sorted out sooner, the colored neighborhood is going to feel like, yo, whoever's the councillor or the government in charge is looking after their own people before they care about us. We are not being treated equally. So what happens in this dynamic Because black and colored people see each other every day. At crossroads, we do cross over into each other's neighborhoods, and that's where those interactions happen. We go to each other's schools, and that's why colored people and black people have so many negative interactions with each other because of our proximity to each other and the ability for the system to be able to divide us, which started in the apartheid government and has been continued now in this government. Does not excuse colored racism. Does not excuse colored racism. But there is a reason for it, but it doesn't excuse them because they know it's wrong and it's normally done with the intention to hurt or break down the person that you are making those utterances at. Ne? Talking about colored racism towards black people. Then it doesn't come up a lot. But we also know it now not to be true. I don't know if anyone is still pushing this idea that black people can't be racist, because generally when black people say something discriminatory or prejudice against another race, it normally comes from a point of defense, or it comes from a point of disenfranchisement. And if you do believe that, you do have to believe that colored people can't be racist. And in fact, in America, where this idea started, it's been flying and flourishing. But as soon as I heard it, me knowing as a colored presenting person, that really doesn't make sense, especially in the South African context. We've spoken about colored racism. It's real. It's prevalent. Comparatively, or what's this word? It's prevalent, relatively speaking. But it does happen. And that needs to be a part of the conversation. And colored people need to be able to conduct themselves better and also let go of the idea that they are better than in any way. Now, another aspect of this conversation is our ability, or the world's ability, or society's ability to have words change meaning over time. I want to touch on the K word and the N word. Where are they the same? Where are they different? And but I want to start off with the word woke. I don't know why, but no one seems to be able or remembers or has any form of remembrance of what the word woke used to mean. I used to consider myself woke, but woke, when it started being used colloquially, was a word that meant or was referred to in the sense of government, how governments tend to mislead us. It referred to, yo, stay woke. The government is doing this so that you and your tax money, so they can get more tax money from you. Stay woke. Pharmaceutical companies structure this thing so that this doesn't happen like this. Stay woke. They will never find a cure for HIV and AIDS because there's too much money being made in the treatment of diseases like HIV and AIDS. Nah, that's what stay woke used to mean. Stay woke used to be not about conspiracy theories, but the ones that have graduated from being conspiracy theories. If anyone is familiar with the comedy of someone like Eddie Griffin, Eddie Griffin has stay woke comedy because he is a somewhat conspiracy theorist and he puts things together in a way that, yo, be careful of the government. Be careful of the system. That's what woke used to mean. Woke has then since graduated into some social justice mechanism that has been heading in the wrong direction from the start. Now, that's a conversation for another day. Woke has now become something that it never used to be. The point that I'm making is that words change over time. Now, let's speak about the difference between the K word and the N word. The N word, which is the one that has been acclimatized more, has been defined more, and the world, South Africa and America, has been exposed to more comfortably for slightly longer. So, in America, black people were called niggers, especially in slavery days, and there were certain rules or definitions of who and what niggers were. There were rules about who and what, how much of people they really were. Some of the connotations associated with the word was that they were less people, they were less human, or they were subhuman. That's why slavery could be seen as a reasonable thing, because you're not doing it to human beings that have real feelings. That's the connotations that came with that word. But the word itself, on a base level, is not a bad word. It's just the connotations that have been added on it. It's the history that comes with it. So the word nigger literally translates to black, and it comes from words like Niger and Nigeria, because it's West Africa where a lot of, if not all, slaves were taken from to go and work in America. That's that word. That's why, the reason why the word is able to be reappropriated, it's because at a base level, it's not a bad word. It's a word with bad and evil and racist connotations, but the word literally means black. That's why you are able to reappropriate the word, and we can see black Americans or African Americans be able to own the word now and have rules like, or have social, or whatever you call it, have a thing that says if you're not black you can't use the word, because you're gonna make us feel like you are calling us that thing the same way we used to be called that back in the day. Nah? So white people can't say the word anywhere in the world, but I think probably especially in America. The K word history is similar, but the K word as a base is already a negative word. It's a word with a negative definition. The word, yeah, a lot of us learned of it from Trevor Noah's joke, but some of us knew what the word meant in definition before Trevor Noah, by the way. But the definitions attributed with that word, with the K word, was a non-believer, an infidel, a savage, a devil worshipper, Satanist, and even in some ways it referred to African spirituality, and that being seen as in the religious context as what? Whatever it is. However, African spirituality and African, and I think calling it African spirituality reduces its value. I think it should be considered on the same par as what we consider religion. But now, a religion came in, whether it was Islam, Christianity, and demonized African spirituality and what the Bible would say about worshipping or praising ancestors, slaughtering, and making so-called sacrifices. So that word was referring to all of those things that now the Western world, the idea that the Western world had of African people. The word in its definition is bad. Now, it's only recent And I saw a video from Dan Corder talking about the K word. Dan Corder is another one that annoys me and irritates me. I'm going to be honest. No hating, whatever. He annoys me because he's a very, I don't want to say self-righteous, but he's a very righteous white guy who has figured out the exact words to use. And there was a when Dan Corder was on Trevor Noah's show, Trevor Noah spoke about, man, I don't like what South Africa did to Leon Schuster. Leon Schuster is a hero in Trevor Noah's eyes, and the way he was treated was very unfair, and he will not stand for any Leon Schuster slander. Dan Corder wanted to come in. I'm happy he got cut off because it would have sparked a different debate, but Dan Corder and his righteous self wanted to come in and explain what was offensive about blackface and what happened to Leon Schuster. Round about the time when the same thing I'm about to tell you now, round about the time when Leon Schuster got in trouble for being in black makeup, being in makeup that would make him look Indian, black, colored, or any other race that he wasn't. It's round about that time when Leon Schuster was getting cancelled. I'm so happy I'm thinking of this now. When Leon Schuster got cancelled for us adopting an American idea and applying idea in a context that is not the same. So round about the same time when we're cancelling Leon Schuster is the same time when the K word, the phrase the K word popped up. The full word was never an issue to utter the word. Never until like 2014, 2015, where people started realizing like, oh no, we're now saying K word. We're no longer saying the full word. I'm not going to say it. I don't need to say it. Because that's not a debate or argument I wish to have. But everyone was always allowed. They were not allowed. It was not a thing to utter the word. You were allowed to refer to the word, to say the word. What you definitely were not allowed to do is to call anyone the word. You could speak about the word. Wara fish base. But now, the Dan Coders who have now so perfectly studied American leftist culture and speaking points have now come and wanted to apply that stuff here. They came and took American woke culture, that took wokeness that way and thought they could apply it here. And the issue with guys like Dan Corder, they will never, and I'm not those guys. I'm not saying white people should not be allowed to speak on these things, but they will never understand the full context. But now they've imposed an American thing where white people aren't allowed to say the N-word, thinking it's the same here with the K-word. And they've now implemented it successfully, but I don't think it was black or colored people's doing of going to the K-word. It was white liberals that came with the K-word thing, because you were always able to say the word, but you were never able to, what's this word, call anyone that with intention. When you did that, you were racist and you were accordingly sorted out, whatever that was in the time. Now, when we come back now to, before I go, the K-word, to show you that it's not the same as the N-word. Black people don't even say the full word. Black people also say K-word, to show you it's not the same. So now, when we go back now, we're coming back now to Gayton McKenzie's tweets. We come back to Gayton McKenzie's tweets, and let me just say, what is wrong with his tweets is not the utterance of the full word. What is wrong with his tweets is not the utterance of the full word. Now, let's read Gayton McKenzie's tweets. And I want to give my view on each of them, and I'll point out the one that's definitely wrong and racist. I'm not going to say Gayton McKenzie is racist, but at least one of those tweets are a racist tweet. Homie is trending. The full K word is trending, guys. The full K word is trending. But let's check these tweets. Okay, here they are. In this order. And yo guys, please man, you can disagree with me, but because we don't agree doesn't mean I'm racist. Doesn't mean I am. The thing, South Africa is such a unique place that most South Africans still live in very segregated towns and cities. Johannesburg, Gauteng, Nelspruit, Mpumalanga are, in my experience, the most diverse cities or towns. I myself am, I don't want to make myself unique in any way, but don't come at me like I have not been exposed to things. I've lived in all sorts of places in South Africa. I've lived in multiple provinces. I've lived in a black township. I've lived in a colored township. I've lived in a mixed race suburb. I've lived in a white suburb. So just because where you are from, you do not interact with other races often enough, you do not have people who are your friends and family from other races. I have family in other races. I just sound and look colored. I don't even consider myself. I consider myself a racial, to be honest. But doesn't matter what I think of myself, I still do present a certain way to the world. So if you come from a place where you are not exposed to different kinds of people, your opinion and your sense are worth just your isolated experience. Some of us are well-traveled, know a lot of people, have lived in different areas. So here goes. Words like black diamond, Gayton McKenzie's tweets. Words like black diamond means you are a better K-word. Stop naming and giving nonsensical titles to blacks. That one is in defense of black people. When I was busy buying a house, the real estate agent, the first time I heard of the black real estate people use the phrase black diamond, which normally is a professional black woman with a lot of money. And that, when they use that word, it's a code word for, this is a black person who's made it, treat them well. What Gayton is saying, that using the word black diamond is not a flattering term to refer to a black person as. In fact, all it's saying is, yes, it's saying the system or the white monopoly capital still sees you as a K-word, but you are better than the other K-words. Now, this idea is understood when Jay-Z, in Jay-Z's album 444, and conveniently, there are tweets he made earlier that I think have a similar point, but this specific tweet comes a few months, if not 2 or 3 months after Jay-Z drops that album. It's about, I think there we go. That's the OJ song. Just go back to those lyrics. He describes this guy, but at the end of the day, you are still a nigger, and the world will still see you as that, whether you are. It's a song about OJ. That's all I remember. I don't remember the lyrics, but the punchline of that thing is still nigger. That's what Gayton McKenzie is saying there. Now, here's another one, 2015, earlier than it. The word Zuma replaced with the word K-word. Criticism has reached racist levels. Hard to distinguish between constructive and malicious critique. The word Zuma replaced the word... Oh, okay, cool. Criticism has reached racist levels. Hard to distinguish between constructive and malicious critique. So, cool. He is defending Zuma there. Tell me if I'm wrong. Now, I am not going to deem the use of the K-word racist. Calling someone the K-word is racist. Uttering the K-word is not racist. That's a new desire that we've had in the past 10 years, taking from the rules that was given to the N-word in America. So he's saying white media, opposition parties, have learned not to use the K-word anymore. It's too obvious. It's too obvious a sign of racism. And now we must admit, and if we all were victims of the media campaigns against Zuma, where instead of just criticizing Zuma on the wrong things that he did or the poor management of the country, there was a tinge of the way that they were criticizing Zuma was not just because of his policies, but it came down to the fact that he was a black president and he was unapologetic about wanting to get black people out of poverty. Jacob Zuma built more schools than any president. Jacob Zuma electrified more homes than any president. And obviously that comes with a lot of pushback from white monopoly capital. Gayton is literally saying that we can criticize and we can hold the government to account, but it's a very different tone if you are just making sure you're not using obvious racist language and just put it on Zuma. Zuma was called vile things, and however bad of a president you think he is, some of the racism that the guy received was not fair and was racist. That's what that tweet is. There is a racist tweet here, so chill. The lady called the traffic officer a donnerse fucking K-word. I have no words. He's calling out racism there. Once again, we must say if uttering the K-word is the racist part. Words like Tinderpreneur and Black Diamond basically describe you as a better K-word. It's the same point that Jay-Z was making in his song about OJ. No matter how much money you have, no matter what you do, you will still be seen as that in society or by white monopoly capital. That's easy. And don't let white people... We should also be honest about the fact that our foreign brothers and sisters have become the new K-words for some white business owners. It's true. It's true. Because black labor was seen as cheap labor. That's how apartheid and even colonialism managed to do so well, get white people into a financially advantageous position because of cheap black labor. And at the time, we were referred to as a K-word. Now that black people are free and can't be taken advantage of by business or corporate. There's now such a thing as a livable minimum wage. And since we cannot depend on the cheap labor of black South Africans, we are now depending on the cheap labor of foreigners to be able to make this masses of money. So that's what he's saying there. Once again, if you don't think the word should be uttered, which is about 2015, 2017, when the K word phrase started coming about. So let's not be people who can't remember 15 years ago. But unless you, I don't know where you live. I don't know where you live. Colored, black, or Indian, you are still a K word. Aren't you colored, not black? So you're saying everyone was essentially called the K word. Colored, black, or Indian, you were still a K word. Were. Some colored people, especially if you were dark-skinned, you're called that in the colored community. Some colored people were called that, whether light-skinned, dark-skinned, Indian people, everyone was called that. But mostly and mainly, it was a name referred to black people. We accept that. That's what he's saying. There's still not a racist thing yet. A K-word's sole ambition is to collect a certain number of cattle to buy a wife with and then pass his life in indolence and nakedness. That was Gandhi. I saw a comedian, John Flismus, who's no longer doing comedy, as retired, but it was in one of his shows where he pointed out that Gandhi used to say very racist things. Gandhi was solely about the liberation of Indian people in South Africa and did not give a damn if it meant throwing black people, or as he would say, K-words under the bus. Gandhi was, I guess, good to the Indian people of South Africa, but Gandhi was not good for black people. Gandhi, one of the things Gandhi said, or was an activism for, was to say, yo, white people, we understand we are not equal to you. And that's not what we're asking for. We're not asking to be treated the same as you, but just don't treat us like how you treat the K-words. The white government obliged and said, hey man, you know what? You have a point. You don't deserve to be treated like K-words. So we understand you, we hear you, and we will oblige. That's who Gandhi was. And I don't know if you want to argue that Gayton is putting that quote there as a statement that he believes, or is to point out Gandhi's racism. Once again, to this point, uttering the K-word or writing out in full is not racist. It's a new rule that the woke whites put on all of us. Anyway, now here's the last tweet. It's funny it's last. He says, bullshit to this guy. When we coloreds say the K-word, it's the same when we call other coloreds bushes, we call Indians coolies. It's purely descriptive. Now, this is the most, if not the only racist tweet that I've read. This is the only racist tweet that I've read. We can, if it's your belief that the word could or should not be uttered, that's another story. I've explained why I don't think that is racist. It's a new rule that came up in the last 10 years. Now, the thing that Gayton is saying wrong here, everyone, I've heard colored people say it, I've heard white people say it. Everyone who says it, and I've always known, it's not okay to say to call a black person a K-word. And even the people who do it know that it should not be done. A new word that seems to not be okay anymore, which was the word that the colored people who weren't racist used to refer to black people, was the word darkie. Darkie is still used today to less of an extent, but wokeness has also taken that word away, and maybe the word was never okay, but I'll be honest in saying that's the word I grew up with. That's the word I heard and always knew that the K word was a no-no. If you want to refer to a black person, you call him a darkie, and darkie was the same as bushy. Darkie was the same as coolie. All three those words today, no one in those races want to be called that. It's not equivalent to the K word. But who am I? Everyone has a different upbringing. But I know that even growing up, we used to say coolies. I didn't even know the word Indian. It's only when I went to a multiracial school, when I said it once or twice, and people were reacting a certain way, then I was like, oh, you can't say that, then what must you say? A lot of black people in their own languages say amakula, and they don't realize or think it's any, I didn't mean in a bad way, like I mean like it's a kimakula mos, so why am I saying wrong? Like if it's not a kula, then what is it? Amandia. So Kuli, Bushi, Daki. Those are the equivalents, not the K word. So that one is the one that he'll have to fix and answer for if I'm keeping the same energy. Now, everyone, I know I'm going to get a lot of flack and whatever. I'm going to try and reply to the comments, to the feedback, but the conversation will be had. I have a feeling this is going to go on for a few weeks. Same like with open chats. I don't think they should be cancelled. And I don't think Gayton should be fired. I'm not a PA voter. I'm not a PA member. But this is me keeping the same energy and accepting that tweet from 30 December 2011, when we colored say the K word, it's the same as when colored say bushy, Indian, or coolie. No. Maybe in the 80s or maybe in the 80s or 70s, but the K words were one of the first words to say no, don't call me that. And if you knew, there's no one who didn't know Arthur's song, Don't Call Me a K Word, which is a hit and a number. It's actually a very good song, musically speaking, and the message as well. But guys, that's all we have time for. Let's talk these things through. Let's figure it out. But let us fight. Let us debate. Let's bring forward our qualms and our issues with each other. But let's do it with the intention to come out of this more unified, more together. Let us not fight and not be closer. Let's not fight to be further apart. Let's fight and speak about these things to be closer. That's all I have time for. I'm Emilio Tobias, and thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. We're about to hit 500 subscribers. Good times. Good times. All right. Okay. Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the On the podcast.
Am I allowed to swear there?
In Twitter.
Yeah, I know we said let's not blame the government.
It's just sad when we start them
No, but-
becoming indoctrinated. Your view on me.